Let's do a quick review on how we can factor using the greatest common factor. So last class we said that the first thing we want to do is we want to find the GCF. So let's start with 3x and let's start with 9. So with the 3, the only way to make 3 is 1 times 3, and then we have x. To multiply to make 9, it has to be 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. So it looks like the only number that they have in common are 1 and 3, and the largest is 3. So the GCF is going to be 3. The next thing we do is we divide both terms by 3. 3x divided by 3 leaves you with x. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So the GCF is 3, and the other factor is x minus 3. If we distribute this, we will get exactly what we started. This time we have 14x and 28. To make 14 is 1 times 14, 2 times 7, and then there's an x. To make 28, it's 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 times 7. They have 1 in common, they have 2 in common, and they have 7 in common. The biggest number they have in common is 7. The next step is we divide by 7. We get 2x plus 28 divided by 7 is 4. So 7 is our GCF, and the other factor is 2x plus 4. If I multiplied these together, I would get 14x plus 28. Next we have 18x squared, 9x. 18x squared is 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. X squared is x times x. To make 9, we've already talked about, is 1 times 9 and 3 times 3, and then there's an x. The biggest number that they have in common is 9, and they also have an x in common. So the GCF here is 9x. 18 divided by 9 is 2. If we have x squared, we know that that's x times x. So when you're dividing, that means that one x cancels out and you're left with 1x left over. Plus 9x divided by 9x is 1. So our GCF was 9x, and the other factor that we can multiply by is 9x is 2x plus 1. To make 5, we do 1, actually, we ignore our signs. So we have 1 times 5, and then x squared is x times x. 40 is 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8, and then x. The largest that they have in common is 5, and they also have an x in common. But we want to be careful. Our first term is negative, so our GCF is actually going to be a negative 5x. We divide by negative 5x. That makes 1. Remember, x squared is x times x, so that cancels, and we're left with x. 40 divided by negative 5 is negative 8, and the x's cancel out. So our answer is negative 5x times x minus 8. These are our factors. Negative 6x, negative 12. Again, we don't really care about the negative signs right now. We're only interested in the numbers. So we have 1 times 6, 2 times 3, and x. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. The largest number they have in common is 6. And remember, this is a negative, so we're going to make this negative 6. Negative 6x divided by negative 6 is going to be a positive x. Be careful, 2 negatives make a positive, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So our factors are negative 6 times x plus 2. $15x squared, 30x, 1 times 15, 5 times 3, x times x. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 6 times 5, and x. So the largest number they have is 15, and they have an x in common. 15x is our GCF. 15 divided by 15 is 1. An x cancels out, so we're left with an x plus 30 divided by 15 is 2, and x divided by x is x. So we have 15x, x plus 2. So let's talk about what happens when we have something slightly different. In this problem, you can see that the factors of the first terms are 5x and x plus 2. The second set of numbers is 2 and x plus 2. Notice they both have x plus 2. So that is our GCF. We know that we divide everything by the GCF. And when we do that, it crosses out. And we're left with 5x and 2. When we factor out an x plus 2, we have 5x and 2 left over. So our GCF was x plus 2, and the other factor was 5x plus 2. Okay, in this example, we have 3x minus 1 times x. So our two factors are x and 3x minus 1. And then our other factor is 4 and 3x minus 1. Right? So you can see that they both have a 3x minus 1. That is our GCF. We take that, we divide both terms by 3x minus 1, and you are left with, you have an x left over and a 4 left over. You have an x left and a positive 4. So our GCF is 3x minus 1, and our other factor is x plus 4. All right, last one. We have 3x plus 1 and negative 2 times x plus 1. All right, you can see that they both have x plus 1. That's what they have in common. That's the same. So that means our GCF is x plus 1. So we divide everything by x plus 1, and we're left with, this cancels out, this cancels out, and you're left with a 3x and a negative 2. So our GCF is x plus 1, and our other factor is 3x minus 2. All right, so let's try this one. We have 2x, x minus 3. So you can see that it's 2x, and it has an x minus 3. Then we have 5, x minus 3. So look, they both have x minus 3. That's our GCF. Then we divide everything by x minus 3. These cancel out because whenever you have the same thing and you're left with 2x plus 5. So our GCF is x minus 3 and our other factor is 2x plus 5.